Well, that sounds like blasphemy.
He's gonna hurt the
I
children.
want that man arrested immediately.
We can't do that, sir. This is America.
Sir, this is a Wendy's drive-thru.
Only thing you'll have to fear is fear itself.
Hard times. The only salvation is to be good. I said, be good.
In the last presentation, we reviewed the importance of the bird and serpent symbolism, combining in bird serpents to make dragons, and this being a central key in deciphering the secret symbolism of the magic mushroom in the ancient world. Quetzalcoatl is a great representation of that serpent god deity. The stories of creation based around this deity are very similar to the stories of creation elsewhere. They have nothing to do with aliens. The Popol Vuh is nature-based, like all other creation stories. Let's go through part of it really quick. Whatever might be is simply not there. Only murmurs, ripples in the dark, in the night. Only the maker, modeler alone, sovereign plumed serpent. The bearer, begetters are in the water, a glittering light. They are great knowers, great thinkers in their very being. And then came his word. He came here to the sovereign plumed serpent, here in the blackness, in the early dawn. Then it was clear. Then they reached accord in the light, and then humanity was clear. When they conceived the growth, the generation of trees, of bushes, and the growth of life of humankind in the blackness, in the early dawn. All because of the heart of sky named Hurricane. Thunderbolt Hurricane comes first. The second is newborn Thunderbolt. The third is raw Thunderbolt. It is well that there be your mannequins, wood carvings, talking, speaking there on the face of the earth. So be it, they replied. The moment they spoke, it was done. The mannequins, wood carvings, human in looks and human in speech. This was the peopling of the face of the earth. They came into being. They multiplied. They had daughters. They had sons. These mannequins, wood carvings. Notice it doesn't say anything about aliens mating with humans, not even remotely. Hurricane is the Mayan deity of wind, storm, and fire, and one of the chief deities who restored humanity to the earth after the Great Deluge. One of his epithets is the heart of the sky. His name means one-legged, just like Shiva and just like the angels covered in the presentation on Rome, and just like the monopetes from both Greek and 16th century lore. Chicomostoc is the name for the mythical origin place of the Aztec and the other Nahuatl-speaking people of the central Mexico region. It was said to contain 7 caves. It looks like a tree but doubles as a mushroom and also resembles the world tree of the Yggdrasil Norse mythology. The word for America, Amaruca, means the land of the plumed serpent. Why? Because mushrooms grew all over the place. World voyagers such as Marco Polo talked about this in their diaries, except they referred to them as dragons. Apparently, some of the sailors and adventurers had a hobby of collecting prize dragons to compare with each other from their voyages abroad. Diego Duran, a Dominican friar, became famous for publishing accounts in his book, The Histories of the Indies of New Spain. In 1562, Friar Diego de Landa was convinced the native people were back to practicing their old sacrificial rites of consuming the mushroom instead of praying to Jesus for salvation, so he tortured the heretics and burned their entire library and collection of sacred texts and documents, their Maya hieroglyphic books. By the middle of the 16th century, Friar Bernardino de Sahugan worked closely with Central American nobles and recompiled histories of their rituals, language, and culture. In 1760, the priesthood incorporated questions into a religious manual that equated eating peyote with cannibalism. This is where we get the ideas of Aztecs and Mayans doing unspeakable things. This is where we get the ideas of human sacrifice from. Did you know there's not a single book that exists that cites actual evidence of ritual sacrifice of children or humans among native people anywhere in the world? Every citation leads the researcher to a dead end and eventually to mushroom consumption within that tribe or clan as the focus of their religious and spiritual worship. Once a person realizes that all the deities were nature deities and that even to the ancient people they represented the 4 elements and there were no overpowering human-like god personas out there in the void, judging and watching over us, it seems really silly to imagine that the ancient people thought they needed to sacrifice their children or anyone in the tribe to these deities of nature. That's all religious bullshit that was used to exterminate the people and rid the world of the knowledge of the mushroom consumption among native people. One of the things that made it easier for the Vatican priesthood to say that there was human sacrifice going on was the fact that Mexican art already portrayed this as a part of the culture. Headhunters, people who go out and harvest the mushrooms for the tribe. They were personifying all of this as part of their own mythology, no different than the Christians did. One image shows a dragon deity harvesting a head with a mushroom axe, and another is a mushroom deity red with white spots, and he's harvesting a head. It's all symbolism, but the true initiate understands the hidden meaning. The Mexican people also called the mushrooms affectionately the little children, so eating the little children, the flesh of the gods, was not really inconceivable. And lastly, we might do well to compare the Greek mythology of Prometheus, whose punishment for stealing fire from the gods to give to mankind, i.e. the mushroom, was being tied to a stone and having a vulture come and peck out his heart night after night. What's that all about? A scene from the Madrid Codex depicts the Lord of the Underworld offering up a mushroom. Another shows the devil dancing on top of a mushroom. If you know how to read symbols and understand their meaning, everything in ancient history makes a lot more sense. The Vatican and Jesuit-led Spaniards killed off entire nations of people in the areas. They killed off anyone who didn't convert to Christianity. Isn't that a great way to recruit people for your new globalist one-world religion? Join us or we'll kill you and your family? The most famous object considered a ceremonial or burial object, but also called a Tumi knife or axe to cover up the origins, is obviously a mushroom. This Tumi symbol is on practically every artifact from South America, and Peruvian idols are said to be warriors with shield and spears. But a closer look and an understanding of the culture reveals the magic mushroom, and these are not warriors at all, but rather shaman characters. Why do they lie to us and tell us they are warriors? Because they want us to believe they were savages before Christ came along. That's why, with no spirituality or positive purpose to offer the world. Tupac Amaru was the last tribal leader of the Incas. Tupac means royal, and Amaru means serpent. Tupac was murdered by the Spanish conquistadors in Peru in 1572 in a months-long pursuit following the Spanish-Roman conquest of the civilization. In Central America, the Jain Mayan figurines are especially interesting and artistic, to say the least. Many of the artists didn't go through much trouble to hide the symbolism. Mushrooms appear on their ears, on the headdress, and even as a shield. But it's not a shield, it's a giant mushroom cap. This is likely where we get the original idea for earrings as well. Mushroom decorations on the body. What's strange to notice is the earring design is eerily similar to Indian, Jain, Buddhist earring mushroom designs. It seems Nepal and America were connected in ways. The shaman's hat during the Jain period also looks identical to the Kushan-era Indian shaman's hat. Now we know where the idea of the wizard and witch's hat comes from as well. Is this a spaceman flying a spaceship, or is it really a man with the mushroom above him? Have a look for yourself and draw your own conclusions. It looks like a man with the mushroom above him, and he doesn't look like he's operating it. The image in front of his nose indicates a snuff pipe for cahoba beans, which would be like DMT. In northern Mexico, lots of figurines exist of shaman holding mushrooms, and the images don't leave much to the imagination, where the only thing the historians can say, which they do indeed, is that they're carrying umbrellas. Because, you know, umbrellas were such an important religious symbol, right? The most interesting to me by far are the ones where the bird serpent dragon deity is holding out mushrooms, as if to say, I've got something very special for you. It's a gift from the gods. Here, have some. They're fun, and good for eating, too. The veil on the headdress is the mushroom cap. There are dots or bumps like scabs on the head as well. There are caps on the arms and legs. This is classic mushroom symbolism. Now, the fear-mongering religious and superstitious Christians will tell you these are reptilian gods. Well, that's a topic for the last presentation, so stay tuned. This concludes the presentation titled You Can't Unsee It, Episode 9, Aztecs, Mayans, and Quetzalcoatl. For more information on this subject, visit ancientpsychedelia.com and check out the free online version of the book, Ancient Psychedelia, Alien Gods and Mushroom Goddesses. Thanks for watching. One last thing I should mention, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support me in my work, here are several ways you can do that. It does help tremendously, and I really appreciate it.